Disrespect at a party revealed, black woman stuns white billionaire family by canceling 1B deal. The glitzy Harrington gala swirled with lavish colors, laughter echoing off marble walls. Angela stood in stark contrast. A beautiful black dress clung to her frame, yet she felt the weight of judgment from every corner. The air pulsed with clinking glasses and whispered names. For Angela, this night represented a crossroads, a chance to pitch her dreams to those who held the keys to change. With her 10-year-old son, Malik, in her heart, she had overcome the shadows of her childhood. But here, mingling with Atlanta's elite, she could hear the unsaid words, "Who does she think she is?" As she drifted through the crowd, attempts at dialogue bounced off her like arrows. What tech startup, they'd smirk, barely hiding their disdain. The rudeness tugged at her composure. Each comment was a reminder of the long road she had traveled from poverty to ambition, a journey marked by long nights and deep sacrifices. But tonight, she pushed those feelings deep, clenching her fists, determined to be heard. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just then, Angela caught snippets of conversation drifting over from a grand sitting room. The Harringtons gleamed with confidence as they discussed their latest development, a billion-dollar deal that would displace small businesses and uproot families. Her heart sank. The rich seemed blind to the consequences, enthralled only by power and profit. She felt the sting of countless memories, neighbors in need, families at risk, her own ground nearly crumbling beneath her feet. An outrage surged within her. Did she dare speak up? Her principles clashed with fear, but memories of her own struggles propelled her forward. Taking a deep breath, she stepped closer, her voice shaking but resolute. The chatter dimmed as she boldly confronted the Harringtons. You can't overlook the community's sacrifices for a profit margin. People have worked hard to build lives here. Gasps peppered the room. Some eyes widened with surprise while others narrowed in disdain. Angela poured her heart out, sharing her journey, her struggles, the faces of neighbors who might lose everything. The weight of every story in her voice, desperation, resilience, unwavering love for Malik, and a belief that they deserved better. Could it really be this moment that shifted a room filled with privilege? The tension thickened. Some guests leaned in, beginning to truly listen, their expressions shifting from disbelief to contemplation. Others clung desperately to their privilege, visibly uncomfortable as Angela spoke her truth. She could see the fight within herself mirrored in them. The applause of empathy felt like a distant echo, hope blooming where ignorance once prevailed, but as she witnessed the Harringtons' stunned silence, she realized something deep inside her was about to change. It was more than a deal at stake, it was justice for her community. She opened her mouth, ready to declare she wouldn't partner with them. It would put everything she had on the line, and another thought struck her. Would they change? Could they even tell the difference between privilege and prejudice, or was she simply another voice drowned out by their wealth? This was simply a moment, it was the beginning of a battle. As she stepped away, heart racing, she knew she was facing something larger than herself, an uncertain future where her risk could either spark real change or depth into their disdain. The stakes were high, and the potential for a shift was right in front of her. Would her courageous stand ignite empathy among the privileged, or would it fortify the walls of elitism? The night was far from over, and Angela braced herself for whatever storm lay ahead. Angela took a shaky breath, trying to calm the tempest within her. The whispers that once followed her felt like a flood now, all eyes on her, as she prepared to make the decision that could alter everything. She glanced back at the Harringtons, their shock mirrored in the expressions of the other guests. She felt alive, vibrating with energy and fear, but also with purpose. What is she doing? A voice broke through the crowd. A woman whose name Angela couldn't remember scoffed. "You're going to ruin your chance, you know that." Angela's heart raced even faster at the challenge. She fought back the urge to retreat. This was her moment, the chance to advocate not just for herself, but for so many others who would never have a platform. The words flowed out, her voice steadier now, fueled by adrenaline. "You think I would trade justice for a deal? You don't know what it's like to struggle, to watch families lose everything because you want to build a shiny skyscraper." The tension in the room deepened. Angela's voice echoed, trembling yet powerful, as some nodded, empathy flickering in their eyes. Who knew if this was enough to make a real impact, but right now, it felt like a start. The Harringtons exchanged nervous glances, their facade of immunity cracking. "This is business, not charity." Mr. Harrington finally interjected, irritation painting his features. "We're providing jobs, jobs." Angela shot back, emotions coiling inside her. "At what cost? Is it worth it to you to uproot lives just because your name is on it? You trade prosperity like currency, but for some of us, it's our entire world at stake." In that moment, she felt the division of the room. Some guests drew closer, intrigued. Others stepped back, arms crossed in defense. Angela could sense the skepticism from the elite, but there were glimmers of curiosity, eyes that desired understanding instead of judgment. "Angela," a soft voice called out from behind her. Malik's caregiver, Mrs. Whitmore, had slipped into the party. Age had stroked her features with wisdom, and her presence, as gentle as sunlight, reminded Angela of her purpose. "You're doing great, sweetie," she whispered, warmth wrapping around Angela's heart like a comforting blanket. Gazing into Malik's bright, trusting eyes, standing in her mind's eye, made her voice grow louder. "This isn't just business, this is life. I refuse to be another transaction. My son deserves a future where his community matters, where people matter." She could feel the fiery swell of her determination, igniting her words like wildfire. The crowd shifted again, some leaning in, others still clinging to their entrenched beliefs. Angela took a step forward, shaking with adrenaline and a fierce hope. "You can choose change. You can choose to partner with those who need it most, to uplift communities, to create real legacy. You have the power to rewrite this narrative." Murmurs spread, threads of tension woven through, but Angela was oblivious to everything except her own heartbeat thrumming powerfully. Hope and fear twisted within her, grasping at one another, as she watched the Harringtons visibly wrestle with her challenge. "Angela, please," Mrs. Harrington said, her tone suddenly softer, almost pleading. "Let us discuss this further. I think you might be surprised by." Angela's instincts flared at the invitation. Was this genuine interest or just a facade to dismiss her later? She hesitated at the precipice of decision, the weight of everything sinking in. Was this a moment to trust? Could they be the allies she desperately needed? Her heart thudded violently as she weighed the risks against the hope ignited within the room. Is there really a chance for change? She whispered into the quiet, knowing this could alter the trajectory of her community and her own life. The question lingered like smoke in the air, challenging yet vulnerable. As silence fell again, she looked at the faces of those around her, thoughts racing. What would come next? Would she step towards collaboration, or withdraw to protect the values she held dear? The stakes were high, and the night was far from over. Would her voice echo in their minds, or would it fade away like the many before? The answer awaited just beyond the horizon. Angela felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her, a mix of anticipation and dread swirling in her chest. The silence that enveloped the room was suffocating. She could almost hear every heartbeat, hers pounding wildly, and the Harringtons quickening beneath their polished surfaces. Mrs. Harrington glanced at her husband, a flicker of uncertainty flashing across her face, then cast her gaze back to Angela. Let us not jump to conclusions. She smoothed her skirt with trembling hands, battling the emotions swirling within her. What can we do to address these concerns? We really could work together. Angela interrupted, her eyes narrowing. You want to work together? Why should I believe that? Your family is on the verge of making my community a casualty of your plans. The people you're so willing to toss aside aren't mere statistics on a ledger. They are lives, stories, dreams. Angela, wait, Malik's caregiver urged from the side, her voice barely above a whisper. Mrs. Whitmore stepped closer, her eyes soft but serious. This could be a conversation. A bridge to something better. Angela cast a glance at Mrs. Whitmore, her heart swelling with gratitude. But the skepticism from the rest of the guests twisted in her gut. The whispers that filled the air felt like a knife, her every word a potential weapon against her own efforts. Angela, please, Mr. Harrington interjected, his demeanor shifting to a more conciliatory tone. We can listen, but you must also hear us. Progress can benefit everyone. Benefit who? Angela shot back. Certainly not families that will lose their homes while you pocket the spoils. The heat of her words propelled her forward, swirling into the open space between herself and the Harringtons, a space now brimming with possibilities and tension. That a woman in the crowd stepped forward, her voice shaking slightly. Angela, you speak truth. But maybe this is an opportunity. Can we not find common ground? Angela felt the room shift again. Could this be a turning point? Voices were rising, some in support, some in outrage. The emotions mingled in a chaotic dance, hope hovering alongside disbelief. The Harringtons were visibly struggling, trapped between their principles and the fight that Angela had ignited. Let us negotiate, maybe Mrs. Harrington started, but Angela silenced her with a raised hand. I don't want deals based on fear, or alliances patched together with greed. Her heart raced as she considered each face staring back at her. I want a commitment to real solutions. Not just words. The room sparked to life. A younger man, his brow creased in thought, spoke up. What if we explored ways to support community projects as part of the development? Angela recognized the spark of genuine interest in his voice. There was potential, and for the first time, it didn't feel wholly in vain. Are you serious? She asked, half hopeful, half terrified of being let down again. Yes, he nodded, sincerity emanating from him. What if we put community advocates on our board? What if we set aside funds specifically for the housing you so fiercely protect? Let us collaborate. The murmurs spread, nodding heads and whispers of agreement replaced the hostile tension. Angela's pulse quickened with tentative hope. Your words matter, but actions will prove your intent. This isn't about profit. This is about lives. All at once, the air felt electric, a shifting current of possibility. Yet, far off in the corner, a few faces remained grim. Angela knew the fight wasn't over. She could almost taste the victory, but too many barriers remained to be broken. Then she realized, was this just the calm before an even greater storm? Trust had its risks, but she felt embers of faith igniting in her. Could they truly pave a path towards real change? The stakes had just grown higher, and she stood on the verge of everything she'd ever wanted. Angela's heart raced, her mind spinning with questions. Would the Harringtons embrace this chance for redemption, or would they retreat to their corners and let a whisper of change flicker before fading into the shadows? Once more. The night stretched out before her, its potential vast and daunting. It was here, at this moment, that everything could pivot. Would they seize the opportunity, or would hope slip through her fingers once again? Angela's heart pounded in her chest, a relentless thunder that drowned out the whispers of doubt clamoring in her mind. This moment was critical, everything she cared about hinged on how the Harringtons responded. She could feel her friends around her, their stares a mix of encouragement and worry, while the murmurs of the crowd swelled, drinking in each word as if it were holy scripture. Mrs. Harrington shifted uneasily, her hand now trembling, and Angela noticed her husband's fingers entwining with hers, a silent show of support that seemed more like a plea. Angela, we hear you, Mr. Harrington spoke, voice steadier than Angela had expected. But we need to be clear. This is a business decision. Do you hear yourselves? She interjected, unable to keep the anger at bay. You're talking about business while real lives are at stake. People are not just assets to be balanced on a spreadsheet. She could feel the intensity of her friend's looks, urging her on, pushing her towards this moment of truth. What if we approached this differently? The young man from earlier chimed in again, his voice rising above the gathered crowd. Instead of tearing down homes, what if we built partnerships? A flicker of something sparked in Angela's chest, a potential for real dialogue, for actual solutions. But the tension was palpable, thickening the air around them. What does partnership look like, exactly? Angela demanded, eyeing the young man with cautious hope. We can commit to funds, support local businesses, and offer jobs to those displaced, he replied, fervor lighting his face. We need to be allies, not adversaries. Angela's heart surged. Allies? Perhaps this could be more than dreams slipping through her fingers. But lurking skepticism held her back. And how long will this commitment last? A few months before you decide it's not profitable. The crowd shifted restlessly as Angela locked her gaze with Mr. Harrington's. How can I trust you? Your family has stood by while others suffer. Why suddenly become saviors? Because we're listening, Mr. Harrington said, his voice low but firm. Because we want to change this narrative together. You really can hold us accountable. The room hovered in that charged silence again. Angela could see it in their eyes, uncertainty mingled with determination. This could be the moment everything shifted. Her heart raced, her mind drawn toward the stakes. I need something tangible, not just good intentions. A woman, another member of the community, spoke up again, her voice trembling. Angela, what if we held a community meeting? Bring everyone together. Let us hash this out face to face. Angela felt something lighten in the air, a glimmer of possibility. The excitement and fervor stirred through the crowd. People began nodding, exchanging hopeful glances. I'm open to that, she said carefully. But commitments need to be signed, promises should be binding. The murmurs of agreement began to rise, a slow crescendo that filled the space. It was as if the whole room took a collective breath, and with it, the weight of fear and doubt hovered above them, just inches away from being dispelled. As the discussions began to form, Angela caught Mrs. Whitmore's eye, a small but encouraging smile spreading across her face. This wasn't a defeat, it was a shared vision, assembling brick by brick, but in the corner of the room, the shadows remained. A group of dissenters lingered, faces taut, arms crossed, and eyes narrowed. Angela's stomach flipped as she sensed the tension simmering. This bridge building had its risks. The night was filled with lingering conversations, glimmers of shared resolve, but Angela could feel the storm brewing on the fringes of hope. Could they really forge something meaningful, or would jealousy and anger extinguish the flames of change? Will we choose collaboration or conflict? She mused silently, as doubt crept in once more, and just then, amidst the rising wave of renewed hope and momentum, she caught sight of a familiar face in the crowd, a face she never expected to see here tonight. Could this stranger have the power to unravel everything she was fighting for, or could they prove to be the unexpected ally she desperately needed? Angela's heart raced as she stared at the familiar face across the room. It was Sam, her childhood friend who she'd lost touch with years ago. The way he stood, fixing his eyes on her, felt as if he had just stepped out of a portal from her past, bringing with him memories she thought she'd set aside. His presence brought a jolt of confusion amid the tense atmosphere of the Harringtons' meeting. What are you doing here? She breathed, feeling a mixture of hope and trepidation. The crowd's chatter blurred as her focus narrowed in on him. Sam was someone who always understood, who had shared dreams and ambitions during high school, yet here he was, part of the community that was facing upheaval. He stepped closer, slipping through the crowd with ease, until he stood beside her. I had to come, Angela. I can't let this happen. Not again, he said, his voice low but firm. She could see the determination etched on his face, the same fire that had ignited their late-night discussions all those years ago. But you're working for the Harringtons now, Angela said, fighting the knot of emotion welling in her throat. What side are you on? I'm on your side, he insisted. But I need you to understand. I didn't know about this plan until recently. I thought I could help shape it from within. There was desperation in his tone that softened the edges of her anger. The murmurs around them grew louder as Sam's presence drew curious glances and whispers. Angela felt the weight of it all, the tensions of their shared past, the weight of her fight to save the community, and now this unexpected revelation. What do you mean you didn't know? Angela pressed, urgency creeping into her voice. So, you're just going to let your job dictate what happens to this place? I can speak up, he said, emotion rising. But it can only work if you give me something concrete to bring back to them. Not just dream solutions, like we used to talk about. Together. The idea was both daunting and thrilling. Could they indeed join forces, or would his position only further complicate her struggle? Her mind raced. Trust was a fragile thing, and yet, as she looked into Sam's eyes, she recognized a spark of the ally she once knew. Just then, the room grew quiet, all eyes shifting toward Mr. Harrington, who was preparing to address the changing dynamic in the room. We're open to dialogues and changes, he began, but Angela could see the tension in his posture. The dissenters at the back of the room were now on high alert, and she felt their resistance like a thunderstorm brewing on the horizon. Angela, Sam said, nudging her gently. Now is the time. We need to act before it's too late. Gathering her courage, she nodded firmly, turning her attention back to Mr. Harrington. We need to put words into action, she said, her voice ringing out across the tense silence. If we're going to work together, there must be a clear plan. A transparent agreement. As she spoke, Angela felt the energy shift. There was a palpable tension as people leaned in closer, eager to hear her next words. The weight of the community's hopes rested on her shoulders, even as the shadowed figures remained at the back, poised to disrupt. She could feel Sam's steady presence beside her, a reminder that sometimes, old companions could become new allies in the fight ahead. Whatever decision was made here would ripple through the community like a stone dropped in water. As the voices began to rise again, Angela noticed one of the dissenters stepping forward, anger etched across his face. What's the point of this? You think a few sweet words can change anything? Her heart sank, wondering how deep and how fierce the divide really was. Would Sam and her words be enough to convince them? As uncertainty swirled around her, she sensed the stakes climbing higher. This was the moment. Would they break away from the past, or would it plunge them deeper into conflict? Angela looked around at the faces watching her, caught between her past and a future she fought for. Hope wavered like a flickering candle. And as she faced the crowd, she felt the weight of decision. Would she have the daring to defy the storm before them, to stand firm in a world that threatened to unravel? And then, another familiar voice pierced the tension, causing her to freeze in place. Angela, wait. I have something to say too. Angela whipped around, caught off guard. The voice belonged to Rachel, a local activist and one of the loudest critics of the Harrington family. Rachel's fiery passion for the community was both inspiring and intimidating. Angela had always admired her courage, and now, here she was, stepping into the lioness' den. Is now truly the best time? Angela muttered, anxiety curling in her stomach. This wasn't just about their past or even the Harringtons. This was about the future of their community, and Rachel didn't hold back when she saw injustice. But Rachel shook her head, her eyes fixed firmly on the crowd. You're trying to make a deal with a family that's only ever seen us as expendable. If you're looking for fairness, you won't find it in their world, she proclaimed, her voice rising above the growing murmurs. The crowd reacted, some nodding in agreement, while others leaned back, unsure of which way to sway. Angela felt a mix of admiration and dread. Rachel had always been charismatic, capable of rallying the masses, but the stakes were high. Rachel, you know how important this is. Angela interjected, stepping forward. We need to work with them, not against them. Can't you see that? She felt Sam's gaze steadying her, urging her to remain calm. And what are you proposing? More pretty words? More empty promises. Rachel's voice was sharp, her frustration palpable. We can't trust them. They want to bulldoze our homes for their profit, and you think they'll listen just because you sweet-talk them? The dissenters shifted restlessly. Angela could feel the walls closing in. Rachel's words sparked a fire, and she knew she had to be careful. If this meeting turned into chaos, it would only serve the Harringtons. I'm not saying they're perfect, Angela countered, taking a deep breath. But if they believe we'll walk away, they might not feel the need to listen at all. Sometimes, we have to step into the arena, bold but smart. Rachel hesitated, and for just a moment, doubt flickered across her face. But the dissenters were restless. A graying man at the back of the room shouted, "Are you really willing to bargain with the enemy, Angela? This isn't some game." Every eye turned to her, the weight of their expectations almost crushing. Angela felt like she was standing on the edge of a precipice, her heart pounding rapidly in her chest. It was no simple question. Everyone was digging deep for an answer that felt elusive. Sam stepped in, his voice steady. We can't keep living in fear or anger. We need strategy. Together, we can gather information and leverage it. Angela's right about this. We can't let emotions dictate our next move. We must build a plan from within. And suddenly, the room became electric. Potential allies and bitter foes were at a standoff, hanging on to every word. Rachel, fists clenched, finally seemed to relent. "What's your vision, Angela?" she asked, her tone softer but still guarded. It was now or never. This was Angela's chance to carve a path forward. She met Rachel's gaze, then turned to the crowd, ready to assert her vision for the community, to show them they could believe in something greater. But just as she began to speak out, a loud crack echoed through the room, a distant sound of glass shattering. Instantly, everything felt surreal, the collective breath held in tension. What was that? Someone whispered, and the crowd turned as one toward the source of the noise. Before she could grasp what was happening, Angela's heart sank further. The fight for the community's future was far from over, and there was no telling what this new disturbance would bring. "Wait," she said, her voice trembling with urgency. "This isn't over yet. Is it?" As the murmurs built around her, dread mixed with the flickering hope she had tried to kindle. What did that sound mean for them all? Would it fuel their fight or dash their efforts? The room was thick with tension, air waiting to break. Angela's heart raced as she sharpened her focus on the crowd. Their eyes darted between her and Rachel, straining to understand the gravity of the moment. The shattering glass echoed again, more distinct this time. Something terrible was happening outside. It came from the windows. "Is it the Harringtons?" someone yelled, standing up. The fear gripped Angela, clawing at her stomach. Was this someone's idea of intimidation? Angela moved instinctively toward the window, a compulsion to see what had prompted such chaos. She pushed past startled onlookers, each step feeling like a deliberate challenge against her rising panic. Sam was quick to follow, his presence a solid anchor. Outside, the sun bathed the street in a fierce glow, but that was overshadowed by an unsettling sight, a group of protesters, their banners unfurled, chanting passionately while others bashed through the glass storefronts of the Harringtons' newly renovated office building. "Stop! You're only giving them more reason to dismiss us," Angela cried, knowing well that their rage, while fueled by justified anger, could turn against them. The arresting visuals of shattered glass felt like a sobering metaphor for the community's crumbling unity. Rachel stood beside Angela, her fiery spirit morphing into cautious contemplation. "What do we do?" she asked, urgency trailing her voice. "This could escalate." "Get them inside," Sam shouted, already stepping into the chaos. He motioned to the closest group, urging people to retreat as emotions flared in the street. "Come on. We need to regroup." Voices swirled, panic mixing with resolve. The room had transformed from a sanctuary of hope to a battleground of conflicting emotions in mere moments. Angela felt it too, the urgency to act, fighting against the paralyzing fear that gripped her. How do we change the narrative? Rachel asked once again, her tone flattened but laced with determination. We need to make sure our voices are stronger than the glass breaking outside. Angela thought quickly, her mind racing through scenarios. We rally our strengths. If we can show our unity here, perhaps we can draw attention away from the violence, she suggested. We stand together, unyielding. If they're going to see us as expendable, we'll show them our worth. The weight of that statement surged through the room, igniting flickers of hope among the crowd. One by one, people bobbed their heads in agreement, determination lighting up their faces. As they prepared to form a united front, Rachel stepped up, a newfound fervor gripping her. Let us go outside and speak. We won't let them steal our voices. We'll show them what we stand for. With a collective breath, they moved towards the door. Angela felt a surge of adrenaline. The fear hadn't vanished, but it had found a purpose. Together, they would confront the injustices surrounding them, but just as they lined up by the entrance, a piercing siren sliced through the air. Emergency vehicles were rolling in, police lights flashing like demons beckoning trouble. Angela's stomach dropped. Are we too late? A voice from the crowd whispered, panic ready to resurface. No, Rachel reassured, tightening her posture. This is it. We stand firm. No retreat. The crowd shuffled nervously but held resolute, embodying something stronger than mere anger. Angela gripped Rachel's hand, both a gesture of solidarity and shared worry. Rachel began, her voice wavering. We can't go into this blind. What if this doesn't go the way we hope? Angela met Rachel's gaze, her own echoing with uncertainty. We have to try. If not for us, then for those too scared to stand. And as the crowd merged with the shouts outside, the scene shook with urgency. They were stepping into a storm, ready to challenge the very core of their fears. But would this moment seal their fate or open a new chapter for their fight? The siren wailed louder, as if foreshadowing danger yet to come. Angela had no idea how far they were willing to go or what they might lose. Her heart raced with the realization, the moment of truth was upon them. Would they rise, or would they fall? Angela pushed the door open, the harsh light and cacophony of shouting washed over her like a wave. The energy outside was electric, filled with raw emotion. She took a long, steadying breath. Rachel stood firm beside her, eyes blazing with determination, and Sam was just behind them, a steady presence amidst the chaos. Let us go. Rachel called, stepping forward into the crowd. Angela felt every heartbeat echoing in her ears as she followed. The group of people standing at the front looked at her, expectantly. The chant of justice. Justice. Reverberated through the air, but underneath it, Angela sensed the fear lurking. They didn't just need a voice, they needed a leader. To change this, she thought, we must first be one. With Rachel and Sam flanking her, Angela began to climb onto a nearby platform, a simple raised area that offered visibility in the sea of bodies. She looked out over the crowd, their faces various shades of concern, anger, and hope. She tried to find her words. We are here for a reason. Her voice rang out, stronger than she felt inside. We're standing up for ourselves, for our community. But if we let our anger control us, we risk losing what we have fought for. We'll become the very thing we oppose. A murmur spread through the crowd, a ripple of consideration washing over their faces. Rachel joined in, we can express our frustrations without breaking each other apart. We are powerful together. Let us use that power to demand change without violence. A few people nodded, some looked confused, but there was a shift, a spark that ignited something in the atmosphere. Angela felt the urge to inspire them. Let the world see us united, not unruly. We demand a platform, we demand a voice. We deserve to be heard. But Angela's impassioned speech was abruptly interrupted by an unexpected sight. A line of police officers had formed at the edge of the protest. Black uniforms glinted in the sunlight, and their expressions were unreadable, yet overwhelmingly tense. Angela's heart sank. "Stay calm," she shouted to the crowd, feeling a surge of anxiety. "We're not here to confront them. We want dialogue, not confrontation." But the tension was thick. Some protesters began to shout back at the officers, the chants undulating between fury and fear. Angela's heart raced faster as she looked to Rachel, who bit her lip, glancing at Sam with worry. Their united front faltered as uncertainty grew. "Do we turn back?" Sam suggested quietly, concern etched in his voice. Angela could feel the weight of his world on her, it was crushing. "No," Rachel said sharply, resolute. "If we retreat now, it will signal weakness. We have to stay. We have to focus." The police advanced slightly, gesturing for the crowd to disperse. It felt like a wall was closing in, surrounding them with unyielding resolve. Angela stepped forward again, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. "Together. We are a community." Angela roared, trying to penetrate the tension with defiance. "Let us show them the strength we have when we stand united." But as the officers took another step forward, a sense of dread washed over her. What if this ended in violence? She glanced at Rachel and Sam. Hope was faltering, and Angela realized she had to make a choice: risk it all or find a way out. Then it happened. The crack of a baton against a shield split through the agitation. Someone screamed. Angela's pulse raced. Is this how it ends? She thought. But deep down, she knew they couldn't back down now, not when everything they stood for was on the line. Stay strong. We can't let fear dictate our actions. She yelled once more, but the panic lingered. As the voices clashed, Angela wondered if they had bitten off more than they could chew. Would they find a way to overcome it all, or would this moment tear everything apart? The air felt electric as they faced the unknown, but the line had been drawn. Would they hold their ground against the storm, or were they mere pawns in a much bigger game? The crowd pulsed like a living entity, a heart racing in response to something far greater than any single person. Angela could feel the noise surging around her, a mix of shouts, frightened murmurs, and a steady beat of determination masking the fear that could undo everything they fought for. She couldn't let the panic seep into her. She would not allow it. Keep your voices steady. We are not the enemy, she urged, her heart hammering wildly. Each word was a lifeline tossed out into the sea of tension, and she hoped someone would grab it. The police officers moved closer, shields gleaming ominously in the sun. Faces turned from anger to confusion as the reality of the police presence became tangible. Some in the front line began to pull backward, their energy sapping like a wilting flower. Angela extended her hands outward, an invitation to resist the rush of fear. This is our moment. Show them we stand for justice, not chaos. Her voice echoed, capturing the essence of their struggle, but doubts were creeping in. Would they hear her? Would they believe? Rachel stepped next to Angela, her eyes wide but resolute. This is our home. Our words have power. If we don't believe in ourselves, who will? In that moment, Angela felt the shift. A few others stepped forward, confidence sparked anew by Rachel's resolve. They raised their fists together, a chant bursting forth from the crowd, blending with shouts for peace rather than conflict. Justice. Unity. Strength. But then, the crack of another baton met the air. The sound shattered the fragile atmosphere, and a chaos erupted like a spilled paint in colors of fear mixed with anger. The crowd faltered, their unity threatened as some began to scatter while others resisted. Stay together. Angela screamed, but the sound of her own voice felt too small against the tumult. A man near the front, his face contorted in rage, charged toward the line of police. Angela's breath caught in her throat, dread spilling over her. No. We can't descend into violence. Angela. Rachel shouted, grabbing her arm with a grip that felt like steel. We have to stop him. With a burst of instinct, Angela leaped off the platform, weaving her way through the crowd. Sam was right behind, both trailing the heat of anger and fear. Together, they rushed towards the man, but just as they reached him, he turned, fists clenched in defiance. "What are you doing?" Angela pleaded, desperation threading through her words. "This isn't the way." His eyes sparkled with misplaced anger. "They don't care about us. We have to show them we're not afraid." "But fighting won't change anything," Sam interjected, stepping forward. "You're about to put us all at risk. Think about your family, your friends." The crowd was a daunting tapestry of emotions, but Angela saw a glimmer of recognition in the man's eyes. It was as if she had struck a chord deep within him. The tension shifted slightly as others began to gather around them, feeding off his anger, yet they hesitated, uncertainty hanging like a fog. "Listen," Angela urged, voice steadier now, "this isn't just about today. It's about every tomorrow. What kind of future do we want?" For a breathless moment, silence enveloped them. The air grew thick, the world around froze. And then, a murmur started to ripple through the crowd again. A craving for solidarity. Hope flickered like a candle in the wind, but just when it seemed they might rally together, they all heard a loud, crackling voice from a loudspeaker. The officers were issuing commands, a clear warning that acted like a match to gasoline. "Disperse now or we will take action." Angela could feel the tension building again, the tide of panic surging. Would they hold their ground? Could they unite under this threat? As all eyes turned toward her, Angela fought to speak, to hold their gaze, but a dark shadow loomed nearer. Would this be the moment they truly found their strength, or would they fracture under pressure? The choice hung in the balance. Angela braced herself, knowing it wouldn't be easy, but it was now or never. The stakes were high, and the outcome uncertain. The next step was theirs to take, but would they take it together? Angela's heart raced as she stood there, caught in a storm of emotions swirling around her like leaves in a windstorm. It was now or never. The moment of decision had arrived. As the police issued their ultimatum, Angela took a deep breath, her determination crystallizing. "We are not here to make enemies," she shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. "We're here to stand together. This is our community, our fight. We have the right to be heard." Around her, the crowd began to shift. Eyes locked onto her, faces softened. Those who had been ready to retreat now seemed intrigued, even hopeful. She could feel the energy begin to change, hearts drawing closer as one. "Angela's right," Rachel echoed, stepping slightly forward, her voice brimming with conviction. "Every single one of us has a story to tell. We've fought too hard to let it all slip away. This isn't just a protest, it's a chance to create a dialogue." Suddenly, people began nodding, fists raised in solidarity. The man who had been on the brink of violence looked around, uncertainty seeping in. "We want justice," he shouted, igniting something within the crowd. More voices joined him, a chorus forming, chanting louder, "Justice! Justice!" The police stood firm, their warning still echoing in the air, but Angela felt something new blooming. The collective heart of her community, beating fiercely with resolve. "We won't fight back," she called out, her voice clear and powerful. "But we won't back down either. We'll speak for those who can't." Angela felt Sam move beside her, and she shot him a grateful glance. Together, they stood firm, a barrier of unity against the rising tensions. The dissenters still lingered, but one by one, their resistance wavered under the collective strength surrounding Angela. "Listen," Angela continued, her gaze sweeping the crowd. "We don't need to lash out to be heard. We're not here just to oppose the Harringtons, we're here to create change. To build something better for all of us." The energy in the air shifted, the tension loosening its grip as more voices joined their cause. Each shout became a brick laid down on the path to reconciliation. Farther back, the dissenters exchanged glances, a flicker of hesitation dancing between them. It was as if Angela's words had broken through the haze of anger, igniting a glimmer of possibility. "Maybe we can work together," one of them murmured, stepping forward hesitantly. "Exactly." Rachel chimed in, eyes alight. "If we can channel this energy into real conversations, we can create the change we need. It doesn't have to end here." With that, Angela felt a swell of courage rise within her. "Will you join us?" she asked the dissenting group, her voice softening. "We may disagree on how to get there, but we all want the same goal: a healthy community that thrives." Slowly, a few hands raised in cautious agreement. Angela's heart soared as she watched them come forward, uniting in their shared vision rather than dividing along fault lines. This was the power of community, the strength of unity against adversity. The fear simmering beneath the surface began to thaw, replaced by determination and fervor. The police, still present, appeared uncertain, sensing the shift unfold before them. "We are here for justice, but we are not here for violence," Angela called out again, louder this time, letting her voice carry through the crowd. With renewed fire, the protesters surged forward together, chanting their demands for justice and change. Each voice weaving a story, a thread binding them all. The police hesitated, witnessing a wave of empowerment voices rising, hearts igniting with purpose. "We demand to be seen. We deserve a voice in our community." The crowd roared, fierce and united. As energy built, Angela felt the wave of emotion wash over her, goosebumps prickling her skin. They were transforming no longer a fragmented mass, but a unified force, strong and vibrant. Hope surged within her, a pulse of possibility glimmering in the air. "Let us show them what we can do together," Angela shouted, her heart swelling with pride for her community. "Let us create a future we can all be proud of." The air crackled like electricity as the crowd cheered, an infectious chorus of enthusiasm echoing down the street. The police stood firm but were no longer met with anger. They faced the relentless spirit of a community ready to rise, standing side by side with Rachel, Sam, and the very people she had fought for. Angela felt a sense of purpose radiate through her core. She had led them into a moment of transformation, a moment that could redefine their future, one filled with potential and hope. As the chant of justice, unity, strength swelled, she knew deep down that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. This was the beginning of something extraordinary, the start of a movement for change, igniting the fire they had all longed for. She no longer doubted. They would rewrite their story together, from despair to determination, from anger to unity. And as she stood there, heart full and hope alive, she couldn't help but smile radiantly at the journey ahead. This was their moment. Now is the time for you to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that could inspire change in your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for these powerful narratives. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the inspiration and empowerment. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Your engagement fuels more stories like this.